We are glad to have your company tonight, coming to you straight from the heart of Africa, Kigali. My name is Martina Abera. This Tuesday afternoon at Village Urugwiro, President Paul Kagame received the Honorable Walid bin Abdul Karim El Kereji, the Vice Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Their discussions centered on strengthening the strong bilateral ties between Rwanda and Saudi Arabia in key areas of mutual interest as well as shared regional priorities. Moving ahead, the government of Rwanda and Give Directly in Rwanda today signed the Poverty Acceleration Co-Financing Basket Fund Framework Agreement. This 5-year strategic partnership establishes a basket fund designed to accelerate poverty reduction through district-level and cash-based graduation investments. The partnership aims to mobilize over $150 million over 5 years to drive a 25% reduction in poverty across the 5 districts with the highest rates, in alignment with Rwanda's national strategy for transformation. Now, observers closely monitoring the East African community warn that the bloc's integration agenda risks stalling if some partner states continue to default on their statutory contributions, while others maintain non-tariff barriers that constrain intra-regional trade. These concerns arise ahead of the EAC Heads of State Summit scheduled for early March. We have more.
Some industrial investors acknowledge that member states have made notable strides in facilitating cross-border trade and improving market access within the region. Gashema Jean-Pierre, head of trade and marketing at Madras Materials, notes that over the past 2 years, the company's exports to EAC markets have increased by 40%. Additionally, the company has diversified its export portfolio from 4 to 11 product lines.
Since we have started exporting, working with these neighboring countries, our sales increased at a rate of 40%. We are proud of our roofing sheets and very proud from the trust of the neighboring people from those countries in East Africa. Since we started, we had 3 products, but now we have 11 products to sell in this market, which is a good impact from the demand of this large market. So the other thing is that when the company grows, also the employees grows, and the number have already increased at 50%.
Ambassador Fatuma Ndangiza, a member of the East African Legislative Assembly, confirms that although certain member states have implemented trade facilitation measures, others remain hesitant to fully liberalize their markets. The EAC's financial sustainability is also under strain due to errors in statutory contributions. Member states currently owe the community approximately $89 million in unpaid contributions. 4 countries have reportedly defaulted on their contributions for periods ranging from 1 to 3 years, while another 4 have yet to settle their dues for the current financial year. Dennis Carrera, the vice chairperson of the East African Business Council, criticizes policymakers for insufficiently prioritizing private sector interests in regional decision-making processes.
Unfortunately, currently I understand our members of parliament have not received payment because I think the private sector hasn't remitted. Honorable MPs, we are about to remit. Then you can be paid. Then I saw Justice Kayobera here. I don't know whether people in the the court have been paid, but please, the private sector will soon send your money. Now, what does this mean? That nisisi tunalipa nyinyi. Everybody. The engine of money is the private sector. But are you servicing the engine? This engine is supposed to be serviced by policies, good policies, that's all. Good policies to service the engine called private sector. Alafu pesa zitakuja. The money will come, but the engine is never serviced.
Intra-EAC trade accounts for only 15% of total trade, despite the bloc's population of over 300 million people, 60% of whom are young people, and a combined gross domestic product exceeding $350 million. The EAC Secretary General, Veronica Nduva, has questioned how the African Continental Free Trade Area can effectively function if the 8 EAC member states struggle to facilitate seamless trade among themselves.
And I dare say that the conversation at the continental level is the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. Now, the big question is that if we cannot trade as 8 countries, how do we hope to trade as 52, 54 countries? We had a conversation. I remember Deputy Secretary General represented the ESC in Addis last week, and one of the forums was Visa-Free Africa. And I had a discussion with him, and I told him, last year at the summit, I still sat in a panel to discuss Visa-Free Africa. This year, we are still discussing Visa-Free Africa. There is no movement. But how can we discuss a visa-free Africa when we cannot move within the ESC? And if we cannot move, then we cannot trade.
On March 7th, the EAC heads of state are expected to convene in Arusha, Tanzania, to assess progress made and address persistent challenges hindering the effective implementation of regional agreements.
Moving ahead, the Ministry of Health has announced reforms to Rwanda's community-based health insurance scheme, commonly known as Mutuelle de Santé, aimed at enhancing its financial sustainability and improving service delivery for all Rwandans based on household economic capacity. The reforms come as the scheme marks 25 years of operation, during which it was enabled access to healthcare services for more than 90% of the population. Across the country, citizens have continued to voice concerns about the quality and efficiency of public services, particularly healthcare services accessed through the CBHI scheme. To further strengthen healthcare service delivery, the government has introduced a revised contribution structure based on 5 household socio-economic categories aligned with the national Ubudehe classification system. The Rwanda Social Security Board states that under the new arrangement, beneficiaries will be eligible to receive treatment once they have paid at least 75% of their annual contribution. RSSB Director General Regis Rugemanshuro explained that a pre-financing mechanism has also been introduced to ensure that health facilities receive funds in advance, enabling them to operate more efficiently and deliver improved services. According to the Ministry of Health, under the revised system, citizens' direct contributions will account for between 33% and 36% of the total healthcare cost, while the government will continue to subsidize close to 70% of the expenses. Minister of Health Dr. Saben Sanzimana confirmed that a wide range of illnesses, including chronic and severe conditions, will remain covered under the scheme, with continued efforts to enhance service quality. Meanwhile, Minister of Local Government Dominique Habimana emphasized the need for sustained public and awareness campaigns to ensure citizens fully understand the reforms and continue enrolling in the scheme. Annual CBHI contributions will be determined according to a household's classification under the Imibereho Social Registry system. Category 1, 4,000 francs per person per year, fully subsidized by the government. Category 2, 3,000 Rwandan francs per person, plus 1,000 Rwandan francs covered by the government. Category 3, 5,000 Rwandan francs per person per year. Category 4, 8,000 Rwandan francs per person per year. Category 5, 20,000 Rwandan francs per person per year. Category 5 represents approximately 8% of CBHI members nationwide. The new contribution structure will take effect on July 1st, marking the beginning of the new CBHI operational year. The Senate of Rwanda has announced that it supports the Digital National ID project, stating that it will speed up service delivery to citizens through the use of technology. A consultative meeting held between the Senate of Rwanda and the Ministry of ICT and Innovation focused mainly on the rollout of the digital national ID, its benefits, and the current implementation progress. The Minister of ICT and Innovation, Paula Ingabire, provided a detailed explanation of the advantages of this project. Senators commended the benefits included in the initiative. The Ministry of ICT and Innovation expressed its appreciation to citizens who continue to participate in this program. The President of the Senate, Dr. François-Xavier Kalinda, stated that the Senate stands ready to support the government to ensure the successful implementation of the program. So far, more than 1.8 million citizens from 9 districts have completed the biometric data enrollment process. The Ministry of ICT and Innovation aims to have all 30 districts reach 100% enrollment by the end of 2026. Additionally, starting in July this year, the first beneficiaries are expected to begin receiving their digital national IDs. Energy experts in Rwanda believe that the private sector should also play a role in increasing the number of people with access to electricity in the country. This was discussed on Tuesday during a workshop held in Kigali about the nuclear industrial localization. And our Gladys has a detailed report.
Industrialists and private sector operators in general are among those who require large amounts of electricity for their daily activities. They point out that having a private company capable of supplying equipment that generates electricity will be one of the key factors that could support their day-to-day operations. The acting director of the Sub-Regional Office for Eastern Africa at the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa, Dr. Andrew Mould, emphasized that this could make a significant contribution to the nuclear industry.
The realities of the nuclear industry are changing, and with small modular reactors now, it's going to become economically much more viable for lower and lower middle income countries to use this technology. Energy is fundamental for industrialization and manufacturing sector. And across the region, we've seen countries struggling with relatively high energy costs and unreliable electricity supply. This project could really turn things around. So this workshop is really being held to explore the synergies and all the potential spillovers from the development of the nuclear energy. Project and program on having a SMR reactor, a small modular reactor here in Rwanda, could really catalyze the development of the industrial sector and make it stronger and more diverse than it currently is. It's estimated they're going to cost around $5 to $6 billion. Now, for a country like Rwanda, that is a very significant investment, around 30-35% of current GDP. But as with any long-term project, you have to think of the long-term potential payoffs for making such a large-scale commitment. And in this workshop, we're going to explore where the potential is to really catalyze industrial development. And that requires localization. So that requires local industries to be providing as much of the value added to the project as possible.
The Chief Executive Officer of the Rwanda Atomic Energy Board, Dr. Fidel Ndahayo, stated that every possible effort is being made to ensure that industrialists meet the required standards so they can supply quality equipment and also benefit from the institution. This would expand access to electricity linked to nuclear energy, thereby addressing existing gaps in areas that currently lack electricity across the country.
Rwanda is embarking on developing and implementing nuclear power projects where we project to generate more than 440 megawatts from nuclear power plants by 2035. It's going to be not only a contribution for all Rwandans to get access to electricity, but it's also going to be a transition, an improvement of the quality of electricity that they are getting. So you may be aware that people are complaining from different parts of the country that they have electricity, but the quality, the reliability of that electricity is questionable. Sometimes they cannot operate some heavy machines because the electricity is not reliable. So the nuclear power, the electricity generated from nuclear power is reliable and stable. And that's a good source of electricity for industries in Rwanda and for big manufacturing industries that need more capacity and stable electricity.
The Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Trade and Industry, Antoine Kajangwe, explained that this initiative mainly aims to show private sector operators and industrialists in Rwanda the opportunities available in the use of nuclear energy and how they can effectively take advantage of them.
Introducing to the private sector the concept of industrial localization in the nuclear power program, raising awareness on the opportunities that are available to our industrial sector, as well as introducing to them the regulations, safety culture, capacity needs that would be required to take advantage of the opportunities in the industrial sector. The nuclear sector will support industries, but industries will also support the nuclear sector. Maybe starting from how nuclear sector will support industry specifically, it's about energy generation. One of our biggest challenges today in terms of competitiveness of our industries is the cost of electricity, the reliability of electricity, and so being able to set up small modular nuclear reactors can add a significant amount of electricity to the national grid, which in turn also adds and makes electricity available to our industries. Ideally also making electricity that is affordable, which means that the cost of production also reduces, which means that our industries can produce more, they can compete more with imported products, and ultimately benefits the broader economy.
Currently in Rwanda, 72% of the population has access to electricity nationwide. It is projected that if a new power plant generating electricity from nuclear energy is established, the number of people with access to electricity in Rwanda would increase. Enora Gladys, RwandaTV News.
Thank you, Enora, for that report. On Tuesday at the Rusizi 1 border post in Rusizi district, 22 Rwandans were received after spending more than 30 years in exile in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. These Rwandans make up the second group of returnees this year to pass through the border post in Rusizi district. They said that spending all those years in exile was a major loss for them, as beyond the hardship they personally endured, their children were unable to attend school. Upon arriving in Rwanda, the returnees, who had not set foot in the country for decades, were surprised by the country's level of development and expressed appreciation for the warm welcome they received. They said they are now going to live differently from how they had been living in the forests of Congo. At the Rusizi 1 border, they were welcomed by officials from Rusizi district, staff from UNHCR, and security personnel. The mayor of Rusizi district said efforts will continue to work with them to convey a message to those who remain behind, urging them to return home. The group is made up of 2 men, 4 women, and 16 children. After being received at the border, they were immediately taken to the Nyarushishi transit camp, where they will stay temporarily before being reunited with their families. Moving ahead, Dutch rider Jurgen Zomermand, who competes for development team Picnic Post NL, has won stage 3 of the Tour du Rwanda, the Huye Rusizi stage, after completing the 145.3 kilometer distance in 3 hours, 44 minutes and 53 seconds. At the start of the stage, a group of riders, mainly from the NSN development team Picnic Post NL, Istanbul team, Benediction Bana-Africa team, and the Eritrean national team, broke away from the main peloton. The Dutch rider has said that the stage was not as difficult as he had anticipated, and he is determined to continue outperforming his rivals. On Wednesday, riders will depart from Karongi and finish in Rubavu, covering a distance of 127.2 kilometers. Moving ahead with stage 3 of the Tour du Rwanda concluding in Rusizi, a border district neighboring the Democratic Republic of the Congo, Congolese nationals who attended the cycling event said they greatly enjoyed it, noting that the strong security in Rwanda is what enables them to cross over and witness such events. The Tour du Rwanda is being held for the 18th time since attaining international status. The 2026 edition began over the weekend and will continue until Sunday. On that note, we have come to the end of tonight's bulletin. On behalf of the news production team and the technical team, thank you for sticking with us on RTV News. My name is Martina Abera, and until next time, stay safe and have a good night.